Scottish Television presents live from Studio A, Cowcaddens, Glasgow, the British Academy of Film and Television Awards, Scotland. That was the scene earlier this evening when the stars and personalities were arriving. Now, let's meet your hosts for the evening, Viv Lumsden and Paul Young.
Very nice to see you all, and a very warm welcome to viewers at home to Studio A of Scottish Television for the first ever BAFTA Scotland Awards, brought to you in association with Shell UK.
Yes, tonight's the night when the Scottish film and television industry, having sifted through over 200 programmes, select the ones they feel have been that little bit special. It's the occasion to honour the producers, the directors, the actors, presenters and writers who have been instrumental in making these programmes so enjoyable, with the BAFTA Scotland Awards for 1991.
And Viv, I can reveal exclusively to you that you and I have won nothing.
Yes, we've been completely bypassed.
Yeah, it's jealousy.
Jealousy.
Absolute jealousy. Either that or sheer good taste on the part of the judges.
Of course, Paul, the lack of recognition for you is just not fair. I mean, you're a fine actor.
Oh, thanks.
You told me to say.
Yes.
And you've also made your name as a fisherman as well. I'd like to know which you prefer, television work, acting work, or fishing?
Well, they're quite similar, actually.
In what way?
Well, acting like fishing, if you've got a good cast, strong lines, the audience will be hooked. And, of course, most important of all, you must always check your flies.
Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a star-studded audience for you, many of whom are as well known as the nominees tonight.
We also have a newly designed award, which was commissioned from the Glasgow School of Art. The Royal Mail sponsored a student competition to find the award.
And this is it, and we'd both like to congratulate the winner, Sam Blue.
So we're almost ready to go, but first we're joined by the Wheel of Fortune hostess herself, who helped to direct the traffic on stage and keep everyone in order. Ladies and gentlemen, Carol Smiley. Now, the first award is for the Best Single Drama, and to present it is an actress who can include John Hurt, James Mason, John Alderton and Ralph Richardson as just some of her leading men.
She really is a star of stage and screen, radio and television. She's the distinguished Scottish actress Hannah Gordon.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be here tonight. I think it's terrific that Scotland has its own BAFTA Scotland Awards, and my pleasure is doubled by the fact that I am presenting the first award tonight. So I have, again, great pleasure in telling you that the nominations for the Best Single Drama are Taggart, Rogues Gallery, written by Stuart Hepburn, produced by Robert Love, and directed by Alan Macmillan. The Steamy, written by Tony Roper, produced by Robert Love, Sandy Ross, and Halden Duncan, and directed by Halden Duncan. And Dreaming, written by William McIlvanney, produced by Andy Park, and directed by Mike Alexander.
Mr. Walker, I'm paid to work out the theories. Just tell us what you know.
Well, like I said to that Polish, if I hadn't noticed what I'd noticed, it could have ended up as a set of cutlery.
Look, I'll tell you what to do. Go and talk to the sergeant here. He'll write down everything you say. And Dr. Andrews needs a hand to take the pieces apart.
Like a knife through butter.
I've got to warn you not to mention this to anybody.
Soul of discretion, me, Inspector. Mum's the word.
Oh, aye.
Will this take long? I've got a rules match tonight.
How's it going, Stephen?
I found a finger, Jim!
I'm his daddy.
Come here, I'll show you what I mean, Dory. No, I don't know how to do it. I'll show you how to do it. Come on. I know how to do it. Show us, Weevy. Right. Come on, Dory. That's all. I'll get your idea. Right. You lead by it. Right. Yeah, right. Oh, there's more room here. Down there. Come on. Right, okay. Oh, I remember it now. Right. I remember it. Right. Good. Bum. What the hell are you doing now?
I'm looking for my Pringle. I'm for the pub. And that's another thing. A bloody fitted wardrobe in our bedroom. Bloody wall to wall. And there's no room for my clothes in it. I'm relegated to the servants' quarters. Bloody hell is it? You can never find anything in this house.
And the winner of the Best Single Drama, the winners are William McIlvanney, Andy Park, Mike Alexander for Dreaming.
This was director Mike Alexander's first feature-length film for BBC Drama, produced for BBC Scotland by Andy Park, whose credits include the award-winning serial Tutti Frutti, Down with the Buffalo, and John Burns' Northern Service. As the writer William McIlvanney collects the award.
Well, this is great. Writing, this is the first thing I've written for television, so it's not a bad result. And, I find that writing for television is vastly different from writing books because you have to feed everything through this complexity of talent. It's a bit like trying to do a ballet dance in Kingston Bridge in Russia. And basically all I want to do is thank my corps de ballet, the great enabler Andy Park and Mike Alexander for directing, I thought, with intelligence and compassion. And all the production team, the cast, especially Ewan Bremner, who for me incarnated virtually what the play was about, which was the desire to give a voice to a group of people in our society who I think have been sadly undervalued in the last 12 years. And really, if this means anything, it's for all those teenagers who, to me, have been ignored dramatically. So thank God they've been represented dramatically, however briefly and however ineffectually. Thank you.
Heartiest congratulations to all concerned. The next nominations are for the Best Arts Programme.
And to present the award, we're pleased to welcome someone who's watched hundreds of hours of television on your behalf and then insisted on telling us what he thinks of them. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who shoots from the lip, Daily Record's television editor, John Miller.
Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I feel cheated. I came along here tonight expecting and hoping to see Paul Young singing one of his hits. I mean, He doesn't even look like the last time I saw him on Top of the Pops. What about that moustache? Really? Still, Crown Topper must be very proud. But anyway, on with the motley. The nominations for the Best Arts Programme or Film are Halfway to Paradise, produced by Stuart Cosgrove and directed by Don Coots. The NB series, produced and directed by Donnie O'Rourke and Alistair Scott. Run Rig, produced by Shona Robertson and directed by Graham Strong.
All the way to Edinburgh, let's hear it for The Chime.
Eventually I just went whack right in the face, knocked him right off his mother's feet.
When I was a kid, my idea of a go-kart was an orange box with 4 tram wheels attached to it.
But that wasn't yesterday. This is ScotKart, the first purpose-built indoor karting circuit in Scotland. So let's make the pits, because the race is on.
The sensation you get here, it's a bit wobbly at the start, but when you get the confidence and you put the foot down, then you're well away. The most wonderful thing that really gets your adrenaline pumping is the smell of the petrol and the noise of the engines. It's absolutely fantastic. I've managed to hold off the lead so far, but a couple coming in if I can get this last corner.
One to be shy.
I better give the shoes a polish for the big night.
And I've always wanted to do this, but the winners are Shona Robertson and Graham Scott for Run Rig, whatever that's about.
And to receive the award, producer Shona Robertson on the stage. City of Lights is the most expensive film coverage of its kind ever mounted by Scottish television, with 6 miles of film running through 8 cameras in all.
Thanks very much for the award. I'm very proud to have been associated with this film. Thank you to Run Rig for their incredible performance. Thank you to the huge production team that we had working on it, who all worked incredibly hard. I'm sure you'll be glad to know that I won't be mentioning everybody in that team, but I do want to single one person out, and the whole production team would join me in singling out Graham Strong, who sadly can't be here tonight, because I think I should say it was his talent and his imagination that really brought alive that performance for that big audience of fans and the uninitiated alike. Thank you.
Following on from what John Miller said there, do you want to give us a few bars, Paul?
Always do you a wee chorus of wherever I lay my fishing bunnet, that's my home.
I think we now move on to the movies.
And to make this award for Best Film is a Scots actor who will soon be seen in the new BBC drama serial Strathblair. You've also seen him in the Flame Trees of Thika, I, Claudius, and First Among Equals. But Viv tells me the first time she saw him, he was playing Sir Lancelot in The Legend of King Arthur, and that he could chase her round the round table any time. Please welcome David Rawl.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege and pleasure to be here tonight. Viv, I've got my armour backstage. I'll see you later. The nominations for the Best Film are Silent Screen, written by Bill Beach, produced by Paddy Higson and directed by David Heyman. Venus Peter, written by Ian Seller and Christopher Rush, produced by Christopher Young and directed by Ian Seller. And The Big Man, written by Don McPherson, produced by Steve Woolley and directed by David Leland.
If it's too small, is that it? Aye, good idea. Wrap it on right. Don't leave big holes. It'll fit. Come on! Oh, it's no good. It doesn't work. That for him.
They taste the same, whatever it is. Have you seen the price of boxes? You're quite right. It is a poem.
Levy said to get a dozen.
Is she baking or something?
Yeah, she's making a cake. It's my birthday.
Yeah.
Give me a minute, will you, Dan? Bursting.
Hey, Danny. Here's your paper. Saved you one.
Vince, you talk a lot of shit. So that's your man?
That's him, Mr. Mason. Man of principle. Best.
Seems a bit lost in himself.
Wouldn't you be? 10 months in strike, 6 months in jail.
Yeah. For what?
Grievous bodily harm. You hit a policeman in the head. Where's the grief in that, eh? But he's blacklisted now. He's a marked man.
The winners are Bill Beach, Paddy Higson and David Heyman for Silent Scream.
Paddy Higson was associate producer on Sinking Feelings, Gregory's Girl and Confident Joel for David Side. Bill Beach was one of a group of students brought in to work with the inmates of the Barlinnie Special Unit in 1974. It was his work there which led to the creation of the screenplay.
I'm absolutely delighted and surprised that we've won this, and thank you very much for it. I'm only sorry that David Heyman can't be here with us tonight because he's actually shooting in Newcastle to collect it as well. Thank you very much indeed.
It's uninfluenced by the silly bastards who run their programs. And then Harry Adler takes me through the Anarchistia.
Jimmy, Woodsy, Jimmy. You can poke somebody's eye out with these.
Pacifists, mescaline friends. And then the Siddhartha goes through it all again. Shit, I just spell existentialism.
The next award is in a category of particular interest to the new Mrs. Douglas.
The old Mr. Young, thank you very much. This award is for the best news or current affairs programme, and to tell us who the winner is, we are pleased to welcome a lady who's often read the weather forecast and is now one of Scotland's favourite gales. To get this right, would you please give Cead Mila Falcha and say Kimmerahau to Cathy MacDonald.
Thank you, Viv.
Wel, fesgyn mag y fycharden, chefi ddwr y Mohammed Vishaw, tor dŵr siachat ag eich dŵr BAFTA and Nalabe. Yes, you've guessed it. I haven't worked out a Gaelic word for BAFTA, but there is one. In fact, there are several. It's a pleasure to be here and to announce the nominations in the Best News and Current Affairs category, and they are Ken Cargill and Brian Curry for Left, Right and Centre, Henry Eagles for Scottish Frontiers on Medicine, and Blair Jenkins, Paul Merkin and Ross Wilson for Dispatches, The Truth of Christmas Island.
To pick up Magnus Linkley just shouting rubbish at George Galloway.
Well, I don't quite, it wasn't rubbish. I didn't quite understand what he was saying. I mean, there is, for the Arab world, the consensus is quite extraordinary. There's never been such a measure of agreement. Oh, double rubbish.
A few kings and sheikhs have agreed to the war. Their peoples are against the war. That's evident to anyone who looks at it.
Saudi Arabia,
the street is moving.
Egypt,
Saudi Arabia has a tiny population of 200 million Arabs.
Yemen. I mean, it's quite extraordinary.
There was 1 million Arabs in Libya demonstrating against the war a week past Saturday. Read your own newspaper, man.
Yes, the man with the grey jacket.
Scope into the upper part of her throat. There's an anaesthetic connection to it, and we're just slowly introducing this down into her throat until we get to the area just above the vocal cords in the voice box. The aim of the procedure would be to introduce the laser beam and divide this bit of tissue here, along there and along there.
Her muscles are paralyzed. She cannot do her own breathing. I must do it for her.
And it's a very precise form of surgery, this. And the tissue that's being removed is disappearing in a puff of smoke up there.
This is the exact spot I stood when I watched my first nuclear bomb test in 1958. I stood here with a white cotton suit and of course with a hat. That was my protection to witness a hydrogen bomb. We were faced away from the bomb test area. We were also told to keep our eyes covered with our hands. Then all of a sudden, there was a fantastic heat. And the light, searing light and heat, hit us almost simultaneously. It was such a shock because I could see the complete bone structure through my hands, even with my hands over my eyes and my eyes closed.
Well, I can assure you I have absolutely no idea who's won, but all will be revealed. The winner is Henry Eagles for Scottish Frontiers on Medicine.
Scottish Frontiers in Medicine, the programme which looks at pioneering medical research currently taking place in Scotland. Producer Henry Eagles and the presenter with him, Kay Adams.
Well done. Very well done.
If you've all recovered from the clip, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'd like to thank BAFTA, obviously, for selecting us as the winner. We'd also like to thank the crews who took part in the programmes, who were really marvellous, our amazing researcher, Christine Kinnear, and especially Kay Adams, who I think is one of the outstanding television talents of our generation. In addition to that, I'd also like to thank the hundreds of patients, nursing staff and doctors who helped us make these programmes, and without whom these programmes simply wouldn't have been possible. So thank you very much indeed.
It was through his experience in industrial engineering that Jim Allen hit on the idea of blasting house dust mites with liquid nitrogen. It rapidly brings the ambient temperature down below -20 degrees, far too chilly for the house dust mites to survive.
Just the thing to put you in the mood for a cup of tea and a bite to eat. So join us after the break with the awards for the Best Drama Series, Best Writer, Best Actor, and the Outstanding Contribution to Film and Television.
We'll be back in a moment.
The Italians' most extravagant gestures are always accompanied by the most extravagant of desserts. Wars Romantica, Mounds and mounds of finest ice cream with toffee, butterscotch, continental chocolate and golden biscuit.
Yes.
Wars Romantica, the ice cream extravaganza.
They say, you know, you're getting older when you start doing all the things your mother told you to. Like wrapping up warmly, getting to bed early, eating your veggies, drinking your milk. Oh, but I like drinking milk. I mean, semi-skim milk is light, refreshing, tastes really good. Mind you, I don't do everything my mother told me to. Last week, I stayed up till after midnight on a weeknight. Really? What's life like on the edge, Helen? Tell us.
Say thank you with Cadbury's Roses.
You'll always find the pick of the bunch at John Menzies.
Hello, I'm a youth hostler. I have the anorak. Lovely that wee heather mixture, Morag. You really suit that. And a suit that's good for any occasion. You can mix with anybody in that. Now that makes you walk in such an attractive way, doesn't it?
Billy Connolly live, on video. The only way to see him. John Menzies. If it's entertainment you want, we've got it.
Half like us shot this morning. Boss had the day off. Girl in accounts came back. Nice weather for ducks. United won. Away. Pint of dry blackthorn, please.
Definitely a dry blackthorn day. Don't you love it for its flavor? Don't you love its character? Don't you? Its smoothness, its spirit. For the night time. Don't you? Could you? Would you? Voulez-vous Cointreau? Just woken up to the fact that you haven't registered for the BT share offer?
She's going to kill me.
Don't panic.
Hello, Anthony.
There's still a chance to apply.
Remember what your Uncle Cyril always says. As one door shuts, a different one opens.
You have some sugar?
Prospectuses and application forms will be available by November the 27th.
You'll find just the kitchen you're looking for and get a free Christmas hamper if you buy before the Magnet half-price sale ends on November the 24th.
Welcome back to the BAFTA Scotland Awards, and our next award is a rather special one. It's to honour the person who, in the opinion of the membership of the Scottish Academy of BAFTA, has made an outstanding contribution to film and television in recent years.
And the nominees tonight are all producers and directors, which gives me an excellent opportunity for a crawling session. And there are three young, extremely talented, vivacious personalities whose talent will...
Okay, thank you. My turn. That's quite enough of that. Here to present the award is co-chairman of BAFTA Scotland, wonderful managing director of Scottish Television, really nice man, Gus MacDonald.
The next BAFTA award is for an outstanding contribution to programme making in Scotland over the years. Well, television came to Scotland in the mid-50s, but for the first quarter of a century, local producers and local audiences had mainly to make do with low-budget local programmes. Some early shows were glorious. We salute Ricky Fulton and remember fondly Dr. Finlay and Miss Jean Brodie. But most programmes were poorly funded and looked at. By contrast, the big budget quality programmes were almost all on the UK networks of independent television and the British Broadcasting Corporation. But of course, these supposedly British programmes were in fact almost all made in England. Then in the 1980s, Scottish programmes at last appeared on British screens in noticeable numbers. Programmes commissioned from Scotland for big network audiences brought bigger budgets and encouraged more ambitious work. Channel 4 arrived in 1982, commissioned independent producers, and a couple of those pioneer indies are nominated tonight for their outstanding contribution. Well, this year, both the ITV and BBC networks will each commission about £15 million worth of programming made in Scotland. And the signs are encouraging. BBC Scotland, under Pat Chalmers, has become the corporation's most creative production centre outside London, with diverse and stylish drama and some fierce comedy. Scottish television, from its studios in Glasgow and Edinburgh, has greatly increased its sales to the ITV networks in recent years. And in 1993, under the new franchise arrangements, Scottish will double the output of local programming broadcast in central Scotland. In the 1980s, we made progress as producers and gained confidence. In the 1990s, if tonight is any guide, we can be equally ambitious. After all, viewers in Scotland make up 10% of British audiences. If Scottish producers won 10% of British budgets, we would treble our present output for the UK networks. The upsurge in Scottish ambition has been evidenced in the standard of our award winners tonight, and nowhere more so than in the award for an outstanding personal contribution to television production in Scotland. The first nominee is programme maker Mike Alexander. Mike was born in Kirkintilloch, grew up in Arran, and graduated from Edinburgh. He was captivated by moving pictures from the time his father bought him an 8mm cine camera. In 1967, he crashed the big time as a tea boy for the Edinburgh producers Campbell Harper. There he met Mark Littlewood, with whom he later formed Pellicula Films in 1972. Mark Alexander's career began long before television embraced the independent producer. Short of money, he compensated with imagination, craftsmanship, and commitment. Mike has scores of productions to his credit, and these are a few of the clips to show why his colleagues in film and television nominated him tonight.
Jazz recording, either you have the right people or you don't have them. Now, classical recording, there's hope that we rehearse a little, get better. And jazz, you can rehearse till next year and it won't get better. Because a lot of the things in jazz can't be rehearsed or taught.
The next nominee is head of comedy at BBC Scotland, Colin Gilbert. Born in Glasgow, his sense of humour was tested early when his parents insisted on taking him on holiday to Wick. This may have been a family joke, since Colin's father, James Gilbert, is also a great comedy producer and a writer and an actor. His mother, Fiona Klein, was also a fine actress. He joined the BBC as an assistant floor manager, then managed to script Not the 9 O'Clock News in London. Returning to Scotland, he helped set up Naked Radio to encourage comedy writing skills. Then, as head of BBC Scotland's comedy unit, his team created a whole string of very funny series. A Kick Up the 80s, City Lights, Laugh, I Nearly Paid My Licence Fee, Naked Video, and more recently, that creation of genius, Rab C. Nisbet. Colin Gilbert's colleagues across television are in no doubt about his outstanding contribution, achieved with deadpan professionalism and a tongue kept firmly in his cheek.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, Britain.
Hello, Chadwell here.
Oh, it's pure dead brilliant. Well, I will tell you this story. I don't know how you do your joke, I don't know how you sleep in your bed at night. Like a hack when you sleep in my bed at night.
That's because you sleep during the day, Dad.
Well, would you deny what's in the Bible? Would you, Mother? It's all here. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 10. All you have to do is jumble the words up a bit.
The third outstanding contributor to television and film in Scotland hails from Ballyclare, just outside Belfast. Paddy Hickson started typing at the BBC in news, then struck out to work as an impoverished independent for many years. She is now a highly experienced producer both of television drama and feature films. Paddy's extensive credits include being associate producer on the Bill Forsyth movies, That Sinking Feeling and Gregory's Girl. She also produced the feature films Comfort and Joy, Restless Natives, Living Apart Together, and recently Silent Scream. Paddy has spent the last 18 months with BBC Scotland's drama department, where she's produced Separation and Mad McGonigal, which you can see in St Andrews Night. And there's a lot more in development. But some past examples of Paddy's work.
Yes. We heard a lot about your problems, Joe. But it takes two to tango, my friend. So let me tell you about the male friends you're always making snidey inquiries about.
When one door closes, another one slams right in your face. The teacher closes, that this will not leave a bitter trace.
Again.
The winner of the award for an outstanding contribution to film and television is selected by the members of BAFTA Scotland and is Colin Gilbert.
And he is the man who brought us Naked Video, Naked Radio, and of course, the legendary Ramsey Nesbitt, Colin Gilbert.
Well, thank you very much. I haven't got it on auto cue myself, sadly. But, comedy is all about teamwork, so obviously I acknowledge the debt that I owe to all the performers and writers that I've worked with over the last 10 years. Most of the performers you'll know from having seen the clips. I don't need to mention them all, because if I do, I'll leave one out and then they won't speak to me again. And some of them you'll see regularly in the newspapers every day as well as on the television. I would like to acknowledge my debt to some of the team that I have at the BBC. Philip Differ, Ian Patterson, Bob Black, Neil Clark, the writers whose names you see but whose faces you won't know. And particularly I'd like to thank Pat Chalmers, who 10 years ago was prepared to take the risk when Tom Kinnaman and I started Naked Radio to put money into radio to make a program which could have been a load of old cobswallow. In fact, it was when we started. But thank you very much indeed. It's a great honor.
Category is for the best children's film or television program.
And of course, children are marvelous. You can learn so much from them. For instance, how much patience you have.
Well, we won't try the audience's patience too much by introducing a man who's celebrating 25 years this year of presenting children's television programs. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Michael.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is really lovely to be here. 25 years in television is a long, long time, and it's lovely to be here at these very first BAFTA Awards in Scotland. Let me see the nominations in the Best Children's Film and Television category are Dota Man, John Smith. Singing Kettle, David Martin, Liz Scott and Julia Dare. And Disney Club, Sandy Ross and Douglas Napier.
Three. Koi.
Yeah.
A bishop talk party.
Hey, Mrs. Jenny,
Oh, Jenny, Jenny, oh.
Bigger than the parrots in the store. In the store. In the store. There were parrots. Bigger than the parrots in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are in my crown of steel. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me. And there were cats wearing party hats in the store. In the store. In the store. In the store. There were cats wearing party hats in the quartermaster's store.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Disney Club.
And hello to my mum, Margaret Ingalls.
And hello to my mum, Viv Boardman.
Hi.
And hello to my mum, Millie Eccleston. And all our mums are here today because it's Easter!
No, lads, don't be silly. It's Mother's Day.
Oh, this is true. Tell us what's on the programme, Mum.
In this week's Rescue Rangers, the team are on the trail of a band of catnappers.
We have a special report from the Guinness World of Records exhibition.
And we bring you exclusive footage of the new kids on the block performing in Walt Disney World.
Well, let's see who the winners are. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce the winners are the Singing Kettle, David Martin, Liz Scott, and Julia Dare.
Now to receive the Singing Kettles themselves, Artie Precise and Scylla Fisher and Gary Copeland. Artie and Scylla, a husband and wife, and they were given the idea of the Singing Kettle by their daughter Jane when she was merely 9 years old.
Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Who's going to get what here? Congratulations.
Oh, well, I'll swap you that any time. That looks like a good deal, doesn't it? Thank you very much. We're absolutely chuffed. Highly delighted. And, of course, we don't go anywhere without a singing kettle. I don't know if you know how to open this. We have a special rhyme. It says, spout, handle, lid of metal, what's inside the singing kettle? Say it with me. Here we go.
Spout, handle, lid of metal, what's inside the singing kettle? They were only playing leapfrog. They were only playing leapfrog. They were only playing leapfrog. And so my song goes on. Oh, give a big scream for a spider!
Nice to see that particular watched kettle coming nicely to the boil. Our next award is for the best writer.
And to present the award is one of Scotland's most distinguished writers, the man who has done for Scottish literature what Jute City did for Dundee accents. Ladies and gentlemen, Willie Melvin alias Gerard Kelly.
It's a pleasure to be asked to present the Best Writer Award, because as most of you will know, writers are among the most generous members of our profession. A writer friend of mine recently undertook a writer's block, which is a very common occurrence, and he went to his bed in a terrible depression. And from downstairs, he could hear his typewriter typing. When he got up in the morning, there were 5 pages of fabulous material, which he immediately took and sold for an awful lot of money. This continued for 5 years till he was incredibly rich, incredibly famous. And one night, his curiosity had to be satisfied. And he wandered downstairs, and there, sitting at his typewriter, was a wee green elf going tut-tut, tut-tut. And he said, excuse me, did you write all that material? And the elf said, oh, yes, yes, yes. He said, well, look, how can I thank you? I've got a Rolls Royce, I've got a big house. I mean, it's all due to you. What can I possibly do to repay you? And the elf said, how about equal bill? And he said, get lost, dwarf. Our nominees are much more generous than that. They are Ian Patterson for Rhapsody Nesbitt, William McIlvanney for Dreaming, and Tony Roper for The Steaming.
What a business. What would you not take a wee drink, eh? Tell you one thing though, see all this shouting? It does not half give you one hell of a puff.
That's the game, pal. You tell them. There's nothing the matter with a wee drink.
Oh, who the hell are you, by the way?
Oh, come on, Ram. Use your imagination. I'm the heebie-jeebie.
I blame the government, son. You take me for an example. A wee test, son. What was it I done? Don't know. Take your time, son. With all the time in the world. What was it I done?
How do you mean exactly?
For Christ's sake, son, prior. I mean prior.
Prior? What, you worked at a bar?
Correct so far.
What was the job you did?
Correct so far. I was in show business. Stand back in amazement. I trod the boards.
What was it, darling? I just lost the thread. You tell it.
You want to tell it yourself.
I think you would be best.
Look, Dolly, I've got a washing to finish. Now, what the hell are you on about?
Right, I'll make it quick. When she gets the men suit in another bush, the old man knows it's no out of Galloway's because he ice says...
Where did you get that mince? We haven't got that.
Right. But if she gets it out of Galloway's, what do you think he says?
That's Galloway's mince.
No!
He doesn't say that because he doesn't know what it is out of Galloway's. All butchers are the same to him.
Well, he must say, that's nicer mince than the last one.
No, doesn't say that either.
Well, what the hell does he say then? Tell him, Mrs. Culfeathers.
He always says, can I have another turkey?
The winner is Tony Roper for The Steaming.
And by his own admission, a former coal miner, shipyard worker, bread salesman, brickies labourer and bus conductor, he became an actor through desperation and, as you know, is now a successful writer.
This is probably the most exciting, thrilling moment of my entire life. Standing here next to Willie Melvin. I really didn't think of anything to say because I genuinely didn't think I'd win it. So, for everybody that voted for me, thanks very much. For everybody that didn't vote for me.
Would you like a wee sherry, Mrs. Culfeathers?
Nothing. I'll take a pushki though.
That's the spirit. Hold on, I'll bring over the drinks trolley.
And now the best documentary or factual programme or film made in Scotland.
And here to tell us who the contenders are is a noted TV journalist who presented the special inquiry series for London Weekend Television, covered the party conferences for the BBC, and of course presented Night Flight here on Scottish. So please could I come to you first, Donald McCormick.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. First of all, because it's the first time in my life I've had the thrill and challenge of actually walking down steps on a television programme. And secondly, because all of us who work in news and current affairs are only too well aware how vital it is to have other programs which can breathe a bit away from the press of immediate events. So, the nominations for the best documentary or factual program or film are The Monroe Show, written, produced, presented, and climbed by Muriel Gray; Rescue, Piper Alpha, by the producer, director, and cameraman Paul Berriff; and Clyde Built, a team effort on an ocean-going scale by William McIlvanney, Charlie Gormley, Alf Young, David Martin, and David Peat.
It's taken us 2¼ hours, and the views are staggeringly beautiful. For the geologists amongst you, incidentally, Learduck is made up of quartzite scree on top of Torridonian sandstone, which is reputed as amongst the oldest in the world. Wait for this, it's 1,000 million years old. Can you imagine? Something older than a Radio 1 disc jockey.
Can you see them on radar? Because I've difficulty seeing things in all this flaring light at the front.
Okay, so we're back on radar.
If you could stay on radar, pal.
Yeah, okay.
It's bloody bright, isn't it? Right, there she goes. It's certainly collapsing. Right, Ross. Rescue 138. Are we cleared to close and land on your heli deck?
Rescue 138, that is correct. Okay, go clear, first off. Show on the tail, hold on the tail is on, miles along.
It really is quite a surreal, strange experience to see a mountain move gracefully.
The great ships that came off the slipways of the Clyde were more than impressive feats of engineering. They were monuments to the lives of the people who built them. Each time they hit the water, they expressed the triumph of pride and self-belief over adversity and social injustice. Out of their steel was coined a new word that was spoken with respect throughout the world. Clyde built.
And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Paul Berriff for Rescue Piper Alpha.
Paul Berriff received the Queen's Commendation for brave conduct as well as other bravery awards for the rescue he did whilst making rescue. He's an auxiliary in charge of HM Coast Guards and a coxswain of the Humber Inshore Rescue Boat.
Well, thank you, BAFTA. It's a great surprise tonight to win this award, but I'd just like to thank Gus MacDonald and David Scott from Scottish Television, who allowed me a whole year on location at Lossiemouth, and also the RAF crews and the ground crews at Lossiemouth, the police, ambulance, fire and coast guards throughout Scotland who helped us to make this series. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
And now we come to the Best Drama Series or Serial Award.
And to tell us who made it through to the final three is the other co-chairman of BAFTA Scotland and, of course, the controller of BBC Scotland, Pat Chalmers.
The nominations for Best Drama Series are Taggart, Hostile Witness, written by Glenn Chandler, produced by Robert Love and directed by Haldane Duncan. Your Cheating Heart, written by John Byrne, produced by Peter Braun and directed by Michael White. And Justice Game 2, written by John Brown, produced by Tom Kinnament and directed by Moira Armstrong.
He was asking for a shot on my motorbike, but he'd never driven one before, so I gave him a baccy. Then when we're riding along, he starts putting his arms around me. Well, I'm not into that sort of thing, you know, and I just lost my temper, right?
So, what did you do with his bike?
Just left it by the side of the road.
What did you use to strangle him with?
My bare hands.
Oh.
You give me one reason why the PF won't charge these people. One good reason.
It damages their therapy.
Damage. All damage is therapy. I mean, what do psychiatrists do when they get a hold of these guys?
He's sick, Jim.
So am I, sir.
I meant to ask you last night, when you looked out cozy scrunched up in your armchair, I didn't like to waken you.
I'm very thoughtful.
Hang on.
Jesus God.
No, I thought maybe with you working at the Echo, you might have one or two contacts on the country scene, that was all.
Yeah, I'm quite pally with the guy. I'm quite pally with the guy that does the Farming Outlook column on a Wednesday. Cycles up from Maybole with his copy in a sheepskin briefcase. Chuck you that towel, will you?
The country music scene.
What's a scene of it? I'd always regarded it as a disaster area myself.
The roast, I presume.
For you.
Oh, thank you. Francisca will be down in a few moments. Say. May I offer you something?
Yes, I'll have a white wine.
Dominic.
Hi.
And the winning series is Taggart with Glenn Chandler, Robert Love and Haldane Duncan.
Hal Duncan's first job was at the BBC as an assistant floor manager on Crackerjack. Let's hope he doesn't double or drop the award here this evening. And with him is Robert Love, the controller of drama at Scottish Television.
Thank you to BAFTA, and I would like just to say there are so many people that one wants to thank, the crew, the marvellous cast that we have. Taggart's been going for 8 years, so there are two very important people who kept it going since the beginning. The writer, the creator of Taggart, who can't be here tonight, unfortunately, Glenn Chandler, and our other writer, Stuart Hepburn, who is here. Thank you all. Thank you. Well done.
Listen, sir, there's somebody waiting for you in the interview room.
Who? Mr. Taggart. This time I did it. This time I really did.
We come now to the best actor in a Scottish production.
Sir Ralph Richardson once said that the art of acting was just to keep the audience from coughing. To present the award is someone who would have absolutely no difficulty in keeping an audience totally coughless. Sam from Take the High Road, Bryony McRoberts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be invited to the first Scottish BAFTA Awards, and I'm doubly delighted to be asked to read out the nominations for the Best Actor. It's a category I take some interest in. The nominees for the Best Actor in a Scottish production are Ian Glenn for Silent Scream, Gregor Fisher for Rab C. Nesbitt, and Tom Watson for Your Cheating Heart.
Lots of things cause psychotic illness. But when you are psychotic, you tend to lose your sense of objectivity. If you ever had it. Most of the time you undergo this intense subjective experience. For me, it is very unpleasant. Is anything wrong? No. You look as though you've seen a ghost. What?
time I tell you this, but you don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Vaya tela, ya estoy harto de repetir la misma historia. ¡Oh! ¡Bandy! ¡Bandy! ¡Mi Bandy! ¡Bandy ya! ¡Bandy! ¡Oh, amigo mío! ¿Dónde estás? ¡You tell like Bata! ¡No te veo! ¡Anda, crocesina! ¡Anda, crocesina! Adios!
Handsome, I was just wondering if it's something a bit less, you know.
Less what?
Painful, really. Something like a hummingbird or a meadow pipit would be perfect.
Did you say meadow pipit?
Okay, forget the meadow pipit. What's just that one?
It depends where he lets it in, pal.
Not the royal under a general anaesthetic, I would have thought. Not get anything from the Disney archive I could have a look at? Disney, well, I'll come back some other time with the bird dress.
I know you're based in some place that you could ask.
Well, without more ado, the winner is Gregor Fisher for Rab C. Nesbitt.
And without his string vest, unless it's under his dinner jacket, Gregor Fisher is well known for his various roles in naked video, as well as the infamous ranting street philosopher Rab C. Nesbitt.
It's not been a waste of money, this Ralph Slater suit, eh? I'm supposed to stand up here and be witty, you know what I mean? But there's nothing much to say, apart from thank Colin Gilbert, who produces the show, Ian Pattison, wonderful Ian Pattison, who gives me all these great lines to say, and another bit of brown nose and Pat Chalmers, who lets us make the programme. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, wait. And the wife, Victoria Burton. She's called Mrs. Fisher tonight. She's not suited. Who hears all my lines and puts up with my tantrum. Thanks very much. I just think it should be possible to catch myself in company. Reason the bottom line, I could take the drink and I could leave it. I should have taken it last
And Gregor Fisher takes us to the end of part 2.
Coming up, the Sports Award and Best Light Entertainment.
And Best Actress as
So
well.
join us again in part 3 to see who the winners are. We've got Ali McCoist, Ricky Fulton, Mark McManus and James McPherson.
So join us then.
Send for me, JD.
Yes, I've been taking another look at your commercials for the new Astra Drivel.
JD, you loved those ideas not 2 days ago.
That was before upstairs saw them. They want the whole car. And now they want a slogan as well. Think Atkins, the new Astra. The finest all-round car we've ever made. Revolutionary seatbelts, catalytic converters, cabin pollen filters.
JD, you make it sound like every car you'll ever need.
And fire. No. Not necessarily. Just had an idea. Every car you... How'd you put that again? Every... what you'll ever need.
In our opinion, these new Fox's Crinkle Crunch are far too crinkly. The Euro regulations on crinkles say only 62.5 crinkles per crunch. As you can see, there are too many crinkles. Yes, too much crinkles. It has a delicious melt-in-the-mouth texture. Too delicious. Too many crinkles.
New Fox's Crinkle Crunch. A lot more crinkles to the crunch.
Ribena berries have discovered a great new taste. Orange and apricot Ribena. Of course, it's packed with the goodness of vitamin C, yet it's distinctly different. It's fruity, it's tangy, it's... Orange and apricot Ribena lets you discover a new world of vitamin C goodness.
For me, the perfect moment is on Sunday morning. I treat myself to my mum's marmalade and a cup of rich Maxwell House. I love opening a new jar and making it in my special mug.
Maxwell House is slow roasted for greater richness, no matter when or where you enjoy it.
It's the same rich Maxwell House, but it's best on Sundays.
Maximize the richness. Maxwell House the coffee.
Nastiani. Okose, Kise, Rapunka Pongi, Larry Grayson. Larry Grayson?
Ukulazi. Tiptongi. Tiptongi. Shut the door!
The new Trivial Pursuit Genus 3 edition with 6,000 new questions.
Thorntons, from under £1 to over 20.
Mighty prices never muscle in at Capital Foods. We tell them to buzz off, because at Capital we say, down with prices.
Of all the top 10 building societies, there's only one that's free to give independent advice on pensions, insurance and investments. Bradford and Bingley.
Welcome back for the final part of the evening.
And we begin the final section with the nominees for the Best Sports Programme.
And to present the award, please welcome Scotland and Rangers striker, 2 goals last night against Hibs, the Ben Elton of Scottish football, Ali McCoist.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, you'll have to excuse me if I seem a little bit nervous, but as you can imagine, I'm not used to a big crowd. Secondly, the way things went today, I feel like doing this speech in Bulgarian. Things went really well for us, so we'll probably be seeing Rab and the rest of the boys in Sweden next year, hopefully, so that'd be great. And now I can go on with the main part of the evening. The nominations for the Best Sports Programme or Film are Sport in Question with Bob Patience and Cliff Martin, Extra Time, Dennis Mooney and Colin Davidson, Scott Sport, Dennis Mooney and Dermot McQuarrie.
Little lad in the front here, yes?
Craig brought a point up there about how there was only 2 doctors in Scottish football doing random drug tests. I mean, is that honestly enough to go round Scottish football to say that football is clean in Scotland?
Good point.
Yeah, good point. It is a very good point. But if the 2 doctors who regularly drug test find everything negative, I think the chances are that things will be negative. I take Margot's point. See, there's more incentive to take a drug in a sprint race than in a football match. You're 1 of 11 or 1 of 13.
Why? You get paid a fortune for doing it. You've got a fortune to lose. What have we got to lose?
No, you would have to do, perhaps, to get better performance, perhaps do the whole team. And therefore, it would easily be detected.
But it wouldn't improve your skill. I mean, if a footballer did do it, I mean, it might improve your physical capacity to less than 90 minutes.
Exactly.
Maybe. But your skill factor, it wouldn't do anything your skill factor, because you can either play or you can't play, but you're going to take drugs going to make you a better player.
Tonight on Extra Time, the big money buys talk. Trevor Stephen, Marseille's £5 million man.
It's just an opportunity that both the club and myself couldn't really pass by. It passed us by a few weeks ago, but with this European deadline coming up, it became obvious that there was interest again, and that's how it's worked out.
Arenchi says leaving Rangers, Jerry, but obviously he's off to big money. What's your reaction?
I've got to say there's a lot of excitement in Scotland today. Rangers have got £5 million. I don't go along with this. I think it's the wrong move for Rangers. I think it's a backward step. I think the timing is bad. You've got to remember now, this player signed a 5-year contract just a few months ago. He committed himself to the club.
So the first half drawing to a close with Celtic on the attack again. Here's Tommy Coyne. Sideways to Jackanoski. Here's Joe Miller. It's a great chance for Celtic. 1-0 to Celtic. Tommy Coyne and Joe Miller both claim the goal. And there goes the final whistle. Celtic have won. Rangers are out of the Scottish Cup.
I'm delighted for the boys because this victory is down to them. They wanted this victory. They've got it. I hope it's a good night for them.
They responded terrifically well, and it was a terrific team performance.
It was a superb team performance. You can see the frustration that Rangers feel.
That, as you can imagine, was a very old piece of footage. And the winner of the award is Extra Time, Dennis Mooney and Colin Davidson.
And in fact, to receive the award, Colin Davidson, who's the director of the Top Sports Preview programme, with the presenter, Jim White, of Scottsport Extra Time, Scottsport Results, and Scottsport itself.
In accepting this award, I'd also like to echo Ali's sentiments and put forward 2 names for outstanding achievement next year. The Bulgarian goalkeeper who saved the penalty in the first half this afternoon, and the Bulgarian striker who scored the equaliser, which sends us to Sweden. This is as much an award for Jim White, Ken McRobb, who's with us tonight, and Jerry McNee, who can't be with us tonight, unfortunately, as it is for me. And they're welcome to come down to the house and look at it anytime they want. Thanks very much.
Tonight on Extra Time, the big money buys talk. Trevor Stephen, Marseille's £5 million man. Stuart McCall, his £1 million plus replacement at Ibrox. And Gary Gillespie, Celtic's latest £1 million recruit, jets in for his Parkhead debut.
Our next guest tonight has probably had more awards than any other Scottish performer, his most recent being given to him by Her Majesty the Queen at Buckingham Palace.
So who better to present the award for the best light entertainment programme than the creator of Super Cop, the Reverend I Am Jolly, and a host of other classic characters. It's Ricky Fulton, OBE.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm so excited that once again, because I was really missing them when they, and I thought it was high time, and because there haven't been, there's been absolutely nothing, and as far as I could see, I mean, Scottish people have to consider that if you go back in history, you take the Battle of Nechtensmeer, and everybody knows what. And if they do, there's no point in bringing it up again. But I feel I'm well qualified to give one of these awards because I watch a lot of television. I like the mystery plays, where you haven't a clue what's going on, like Taggart and Inspector Morse and Haggis Agis, all that kind of thing. And I'm told there's a new Gaelic quiz program coming out soon. It's called Guess Who Got the 9 Million? And I also, of course, have had a little experience just recently down in London there. I went down to see Her Majesty, and I must say she was so sweet. She really was. She's a terribly nice woman, a lady, queen. And they did say, I mean, they tell you what to do, of course, absolutely everything. They tell you that if the Queen speaks to you, you're supposed to say something yourself. And I was so thrilled. She was so nice. As I went up, you know, for this wee medal, and she did speak to me, actually. She said, no, I'm supposed to pin it in your chest. And so we left it at that, and she did say to me, just in parting, she said, now, Ricky, you know where we are. Don't be a stranger. So I'm here to tell you who the nominees for the Best Light Entertainment Programme are. When I look at it, it really is. Rab C. Nesbitt for Holiday, written by Ian Patterson, produced and directed by Colin Gilbert. Rab C. Nesbitt, ditto, for World Cup Special, and Naked Video, Colin Gilbert.
Hello, my agony. Could you no try and keep your screaming down? I don't want the whole beach to know I'm out. That's too much. You're a hard woman, Ella Cotter. I'll tell you one thing. This is the nearest I've come to a whole flush since I married you. No! That was a wee bit much, Ella. So what? It's only a man, isn't it? That'll give him a glimmer of how a Caesarean feels.
My brother's an old man that's ripe for the big sleep. Give him this one last fling afore he goes.
Oh, please, Fred. Please take me to Italy to the World Cup.
Yeah. What else do you want? Do you want us to sit on my hind leg and beg you?
How can I do it? Hey, how can I risk taking an old crop like that to the World Cup?
How no? Andy Roxford's taking Roy Aiken.
Scottish Tourist Board, Holidays in Scotland.
And the winners are Ian Patterson and Colin Gilbert for Rab C. Nesbitt in Holiday.
Holiday was, of course, our chance to join the Nesbitts, strutting their stuff around the beaches and the beauty spots of sunny Spain, after Mary Nesbitt wins a family holiday by entering a competition on a packet of frozen chips.
Ian?
Not him again, I hear you say. Well, I think this ought to go to Ian for writing such fantastic scripts. So thank you very much, Ian. Thank you, Gregor, and thank you, Elaine, and the rest of the cast.
Thanks, him too, and thank you, same as he said, but with feeling. Thank you.
Look at that. Who says miracles don't happen? It's even snowing in the Costa del Sol. And my God!
So very much a case of well done, Colin Gilbert, and commiserations to Colin Gilbert and Colin Gilbert. The final award tonight is for the Best Actress in a Scottish production.
And to make the presentations, we go from Super Cop to Super Cops. Together, they've closed more cases than the Customs and Excise man at Glasgow Airport. Please welcome Taggart and Jardine, Mark McManus, and James McPherson.
Well, have we discovered who it is?
Well, after knocking on 100 people's doors, taking thousands of statements,
After putting all the information into our vast and highly sophisticated computer, I've come up with a conclusion.
In fact, you haven't got a clue.
That's right.
However, we believe that the name of the person we're looking for is in that envelope, so nobody leave the room. And the nominations are Phyllis Logan for And the Cow Jumped Over the Moon,
Eileen McCallum for The Steamy,
Dorothy Paul for The Steamy.
Andrea, what's wrong, Hale? I'm dying. Oh, you're no dying. You've just been through a bad patch. I'm dying. I saw my nose to my lungs. My heart as well. And everybody knew of it except me. Priest knew. Nuns knew. My mother knew. I'm surprised you didn't take out a classified ad in the Herald. They even told my kids. My kids, for Christ's sake. What was there when you told me?
Is that a bubble cut?
Aye.
Wee Angela's wanting one of them.
Is that your wee granddaughter?
There's only 12, but she's too young for it. Champing at the bit, you know, can't wait to be a teenager. You should see her in the house, all dressed up with her mammy's lipstick and makeup on. She thinks a right wee glamour girl. Bloody shame, poor Helen clatters her if she catches her not.
Aye.
And no wonder. She gets a lipstick all over her face, you know. She's using it for roots in her cheeks. And then she tries to do on shading that the big lasses do, you know, round about the eyes. Her feathers says she looks like an Apache.
So you get the house to yourself. What do? You wash the dishes again and the pots. You catch up with the ironing, and at last you sit down. What happens? The wains come up. Ma, can I get a cup of tea and some tea? Do you want some of that soup? No. Tomato sandwich? No. A boiled egg? A piece of spam? No. Do you want some toasted cheese? Well, no. Well, what do you want? In at all.
And the winner is Eileen McCallum for The Steamy.
Perhaps best known as Isabel Blair from the corner shop role in Scottish television's long-running soap Take the High Road. The Steamy gave her the chance to sing and dance in this highly acclaimed production.
Thank you. Well, good job I bleached my moustache, eh? Seriously, thank you, BAFTA, very much. I think it's wonderful to have such an event here in Scotland. Puts paid to the old Kentish Feather myth that we don't honour our own. It's been a marvellous evening. Just a few special thank yous to Sonia and Maggie of Makeup and Wardrobe, who helped create the big dolly look that women have been striving for ever since. And a rather rueful thank you to Elaine C. Smith, who created the part on stage, for being too young and beautiful to play Dolly in close-up. Thank you all very much. When one of you dies, do they stay in the house till they get buried? Aye, sometimes. Sometimes no, but definitely no for a week. They'll probably cremate him, or he'd smell. Oh.
And that brings us to the end of the BAFTA Scotland Awards for 1991. We hope you've enjoyed the evening.
We'd like to thank you, Viv, for being here so soon after your wedding. You enjoyed it?
Of course I enjoyed my wedding.
No, I meant tonight, not your wedding.
Yes, I did enjoy tonight, but not as much as my wedding.
I think we better just leave it at that, eh?
Well, we end with our congratulations to all tonight's winners. I think from what we've all seen tonight that there's no doubt that film and television in Scotland is thriving. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for watching.